Practiced my German since last time.
Okay.
So, willkommen zurück. Wundervolle Deutsch Schauspielerin.
Dankeschön. Vielen Dank.
What is translate?
Welcome back, you wonderful German actress.
There we go. Yeah. Last time we were talking about my pet owl, so slightly better. How are you both doing?
Good.
Great.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, huge congratulations on the film again. Your performances are both incredible. So let's sort of go into the mindset. You first got the script. What were your first sort of thoughts on the characters and what sort of excited you about them?
I read the script. I inhaled the script. That's always a great sign. I think I would have probably, if Tim hadn't offered me Marianne, it was the kind of quality script where I think I would have played a much smaller part just to be a part of it, because you want to be a part of something that interesting.
It's monumental, isn't it? Yeah. And what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's an Oscar-nominated screenplay. So
We knew that.
clearly it was good. So it was a very thrilling read, and as soon as I was done, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Yeah.
What are those sort of thoughts in terms of building the character? Because, I mean, last time we sort of spoke about when there's so much of a goal going on, there's so much pressure in the situation that you're in. Like, how do you sort of find those sort of personalizations?
For me, it was really conversations with the real Jeff Mason, who's still with us, and also getting into sports broadcast control rooms and learning what it means to produce and direct a live broadcast. Doing a lot of research into that, learning the ins and outs of a production facility. That was really the core into Jeff's, character.
I do think that a lot of the things were, most of it was on the page anyway, because Tim and Moritz just hadn't really done their homework. And I remember my first conversation with Tim, he said that he wants Marianne to be very straightforward, very no bullshit, thinking 5 steps ahead and already engaging in, preparing the next step without explaining to anyone what she will do. She'll just get it done. And my mum's name's Marianne, and I saw a lot of.
Oh, lovely.
And she's, I've got 3 younger brothers, so when we were kids, that she had a lot on her plate. So I did, from the way Tim pitched what he wanted to see in Marianne, I was like, oh, that's my mum. Yeah.
What were your sort of first experiences like working together on set? I mean, what was the first scene you both...
Awful. I will never work with him again.
What was our first? Did you know whatever? I can't remember.
You were calling a show, I think.
Was that it?
I think so. I don't remember. I just remember being really happy with the fact that you're very good. I just, because you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know who you're going to be working with, whether they're giving anything back to you.
Yeah.
Or I suppose that's the apprehension, isn't it? You haven't sort of worked with all these people before.
Right.
Yeah.
You're sort of thrown in at the deep end, and suddenly there's a big film. There's so many people in the crew and the cast. I mean, did anything change with your sort of characters from how you imagined it in the script? To maybe like when you'd arrived on set and you started sort of working together and getting into the whole like process?
No, not with the characters. The characters were again, the script was pretty, it was pretty clear. We changed scenes sometimes. There was certainly collaboration happening. And we, like the scene at the end with us, we had shot it once and everyone realized that wasn't right. So we came back to it and we had a big, long discussion to get it right. And I think we did.
Could you go into what the difference is? Because I mean, we've got a sort of filmmaking audience. That'd be really interesting to know what that flip was.
I didn't stumble across it reading it. But then when we are acting it, sometimes when you then put it on its feet, it doesn't quite work. The way it was written was a little bit more spelled out, and it was more about it felt a little bit like we were explaining the film at the end of the film.
Right. Yeah. The too many ending situation. Yeah.
And we felt a little bit like, well, we both made the case to Tim of, if we are making the film that we think we are making, it will be implicit and the audience will understand. And let's trust that a little bit more and have these 2 characters not find the right words for what happened. Leave more unsaid.
I think that's what we did. We were like, this conversation feels like this is the kind of conversation you would have weeks, if not years later.
Yeah.
We're like, it feels like this is still way too raw. So what would these people actually be able to muster up to say in this moment? And that's kind of where we what changed and where we started from to rework that scene.
I suppose that's the great thing about sort of being an actor, isn't it? Is because, as a director or a writer, you're often looking at the sort of the macro and the bigger picture. But as an actor, you have to think, well, okay, what's the, this is a sort of traumatizing situation. Like, what are the characters sort of going through in that? I
mean, what's amazing about that is that both Tim and Moritz were willing for us they allowed for that to happen, because it would have been very easy for them to say, this is what we wrote, we think we are right, but they were willing and open to try it. And then I remember, because there were difficult discussions, I remember Tim coming up to us the next day and say, thank you, you were right, this is actually what we needed. And that was amazing. That's collaboration.
Was there any, what's your sort of preference in terms of something like this that's very intense? Do you like are you sprinters or, here for the marathon in terms of like how many takes you do? Like whether you like to sort of come in and nail it in the first two or three?
I do love 3 takes.
3 takes?
Yeah, that's probably the magic number. But
but that was not the case.
That was not the case here. But also I'm a believer in let's get it right if it's not there.
Yeah.
But it's not that we did so many takes. We had a lot of setups in this. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We had a lot of setups.
Yeah.
And we had this thing called wild style. Once we got all the coverage of a scene, we would do a wild style, which was just like a free for all. Not hitting your mark.
Okay, so you can kind of improvise.
Yeah, in a way, it was very loose.
Go again in the middle of the take if you want to, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Anything in particular you sort of remember that sort of came out of the box that was sort of improvised or came out of the collaborations or something that wasn't necessarily
so much of the calling of the actual footage, a lot of that was improvised because we had only gotten the footage a couple weeks before he started. So there was no time to apply that to the script. So because I'd done the research, we could just look at the footage we have and call the show based on that. Yeah.
So just going into the sort of rehearsal side and those early conversations with Tim as well, like what were your sort of early, like, you've read the script, you got into the character, just those sort of bits as well. Did you do much on set before the actual, the blocking out? Was it just dive in at the deep end?
Yeah.
Dive in. Yeah. This was a dive in. There was no... often with indie films, there's no time. And I'm not really a fan of much rehearsal ahead of time. I think the fun about filmmaking is the discovery on the day. I think if it's not a play, even though this one, it has a very theatrical qualities to it, it's filming is really the rehearsal process. If it was a play and you're filming it and you're discovering things, I think if you over rehearse, then you're killing a lot of that spontaneity and that discovery. And for this, we also couldn't do it because I had COVID the week before, so there was no time. There was really no time. But when you have good people and a good crew and good actors, I don't think you really need much.
Was there any last thing to sort of follow up on? Any really memorable good notes that you were given, like director notes?
No,
from the movie.
Nothing.
Zero, zero direction, like all the way through. Yeah.
Direction notes. I think Tim really trusted us.
Yeah,
he really.
I feel like he really sort of opened up to what your
input
is.
Yeah. I think he trusted us, and we trusted him. We trusted his technical expertise and his precision and all that stuff. And because it is kind of a docu-style film, I think he just wanted... The only note that was ever given, if anything, was just... And not really to us, but maybe to some of the supporting cast who came in, was basically do less. That kind of old chestnut, because it was... And in particular, when you have the actual footage of Jim McKay, who's just as real as it gets... We really had a goal to be just as authentic. Yeah.
But there was definitely a memorable day where Tim got COVID and he tried to direct the set from a little iPad, and that was the chaos.
Fail.
It's tough, isn't it? I think when
it didn't work.
I think it really is important to have the actor and the director. I always like to be really close to the actually watching them and sort of feeling the emotion. And that sort of thing.
He was
miles away in Video Village.
So I think Werner Herzog that has done that. Someone who was I just reading? Someone did that where they directed a movie. Basically from afar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's not in this one.
No.
Lovely to chat to you again, and lovely to meet you. It's been a real pleasure, and congrats on a really thrilling, immersive film.
Cool.
Thank you.
Lovely. Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah, tschüss. Vielen Dank.